What is up, you guys? I hope you're all doing well. I'm Tony Fuentes, and I'm very excited to share with you that I've acquired my first drone, the Mavic Air 2, which is right here. Now, I didn't go for the Mavic Mini 2, which just came out, or the Mavic Pro, and I'm going to tell you the reasons why, and then I'm just going to unpack this with a flight mode combo so you can see what's inside really, and check out the overall quality. So let's jump into the comparison to see maybe what drone you would like to buy and why I went with this one, guys. Okay, so this is the comparison in the DJI store. Now in this case we have three options. I didn't add the Mavic 2 zoom. Basically it's the cheaper version of this one with a zoom ability, but the sensor is much smaller. So in this case we have the Mavic Mini 2, the Mavic Air 2 and the Mavic 2 Pro. Now all these drones are fantastic, I have to say that from the start, guys. Now the Mavic Mini 2 just came out, and the first thing that we can see that they showcase is the weight. Now why would they showcase as the first aspect to highlight from this drone the weight? The overall weight is just under 250 grams. That's very important for countries like Canada, for example, where there are new regulations on drone flying. And basically the regulations say that you need to take some classes, some lessons, overall courses on how to fly drones and where to fly them, when to fly them. And basically you need a license to fly them. And a drone under 250 grams doesn't need all those regulations and all those rules. So basically they made it at 249 grams, just below that bar, so you can bypass those standards, guys, in the norms. So other than that, the DJI Mavic Mini is very cheap, as we can see, $450 for a 4K camera. That's very cheap for a camera that shoots 4K, guys, but it does have some drawbacks. So let's jump into the specs more deeply and see why I chose this one over the newest version of the Mavic Mini 2 or the bigger brother, the Mavic 2 Pro. So let's jump into the first thing that we see is the size comparison and the weight. So they heavily advertise the 250 grams from the Mini 2. Then as we get into the bigger versions, they're much more heavy. Yeah, so in dimensions, obviously the Mini is the size of an iPhone 12, so you can get an idea. Then the Mavic 2 is the biggest of them all, but the widest of them all is this one. So the Mavic Air 2 is basically the same size as the Mavic 2 Pro. Then it's a much more compact, much more lightweight, and they heavily advertise the Mini 2 as being the lightest just because of those regulations and those new norms. Meanwhile, the Mavic Pro is 907 grams, and basically the bigger the drone, the more heavier it's going to be, the bigger propellers, the bigger motors, and it's going to perform better in windy situations, and also it's going to go much faster, guys. So here we can see the overall or the average speed and maximum speed in sport mode, which I don't recommend using sport mode because this drone tilt is down and you can't get the best quality video or photographs in that manner, guys. Then the flight time, max flight time 31 minutes in the Mini and the Pro, then 34 in the Mavic Air 2. That's basically a lie. It's basically the time that you can leave it hovering in perfect conditions, not the flight time when you're zooming and you're pressing in the acceleration all the way to the max. Then in photography, this is one of the biggest things that led me to this drone in particular, is the sensor. Now the sensor is 1/2 inch. It's not the biggest sensor, it's a bit bigger than the Mini 2, but it's halfway the size of the Hasselblad sensor on the Mavic 2 Pro. Now Hasselblad sensor on the Mavic 2 Pro is incredible. Now Hasselblad, if you're not familiar with the brand, go and check it out. Very expensive cameras. Basically those cameras are the ones that the Apollo missions took to the moon. So all the photographs from the moon are taken with the Hasselblad cameras. So they have widely been regarded as very good cameras in dynamic range and in low light situations. Other than that, 48 megapixels in the photograph department for this one, against the 12 of the Pro, which isn't that bad, and then 12 in the Mini. Now this is a big factor to me, guys. 12 megapixels is perfect for Instagram, for social media, but 12 megapixel photos in the client is going to laugh at you if you take a photograph with that resolution, guys. They're not going to be able to put it in their website or print it out in a big billboard or anything like that. So 48 megapixels, looking forward if I want to work with brands, maybe I want to work with a car company or anything that they want to print these photographs, they're going to demand high megapixel counts. So this one has the biggest megapixel count of the three versions, so very good sensor for photography. Now obstacle avoidance, again, here we can see all these null spots for the Mini. That's basically because of its price. It's very cheap, they wanted to keep it light, and if they added more sensors for obstacle avoidance, obviously the weight is gonna go up. So they wanted to keep it very light, and here we can see that the only sensors that they have is looking downwards, so you can land it and take it off quite easily. Meanwhile the Air, it has backward, forward, and also down. And then the Mavic Pro has sideways as well, guys. So basically that's a thing that you want to keep in mind. If you're a beginner, you would want to go with the cheapest version, but still it's going to be a bit harder to fly because it doesn't have all the sensors that you need to automatically fly. Okay, so I'm just going to jump on through all these specs, and we don't need to know the temperature. Oh well, the temperature is quite important. The Mini can't work in below Celsius, that meaning that if you're climbing a mountain and you're at negative degrees, you're not going to be able to use it. It's gonna draw its battery quite fast, and it's not going to fly properly. Meanwhile, the Mavic Air and the Mavic Pro, they'll do the job just well, guys. So now we've arrived at video resolutions, and here's where the Mavic Air 2 really pops up. Now, all of them do 4K 30 frames per second, 24 frames per second, but this one does 4K 60. That not only allows you to shoot more fluid video, but it also allows you to cut it at half speed and have 2 times slow motion at 4K. That's even better than my camera that only does 4K 24 frames per second. But still, I'm not taking anything away from the Mini. The Mini 2 does 4K in such a small package is a very good option, guys. And then in full HD department, the Mini does 2 times slow motion at 60 frames per second. Meanwhile, the Air, that's all the way down to 240 frames per second. That's 8 times slow motion if my math is correct. And the Pro goes to 4 times slow motion with 120 frames per second. So that's a very important factor for me, guys. 4K 60 in this one, the other drones don't have it. And then that's going to be translated as well in the bitrate. 100 megabits per second for the Pro and the Mini is very good. That's the bitrate that my camera shoots. But the Mavic Air 2 does 120 bits per second, which means the video is going to be higher quality with a lot more information and a lot more color and precision in the color grading, guys. So we can talk about the specs all day long, guys, but the things that really come into play is the image quality and then the pricing. What's your budget, guys? So I could afford the Mini 2. It's a newer drone, but it doesn't have the image quality of this one, guys. It's not a very professional image quality, although it does do 4K, but for photographs it's not very useful in the professional field. Yes, for social media, for Instagram, boomerangs or anything like that, it's perfect, but not for client work. Meanwhile, the Mavic 2 Pro has all the package, good image quality, good photographs, good video, but it's very expensive. When $1,600 is a lot of money, and I wasn't willing to commit with that much money for my first drone. So I went with what seems to be the better option in image quality, which is the Mavic Air 2, which is in the middle, just $800. So I went with the middle one, the Mavic Air 2, which has the better camera for pixels, for stills, and 4K 60, which none of the other ones have. Now, megapixels is not everything, guys. I surely doubt that this sensor is going to be better than the Hasselblad's, but still 48 megapixels is very good, guys, and it's decent enough for me to go into the future and safe-proof myself technology-wise for anything that will come in the future. So let's unbox this and see the overall quality of the drone. So much plastic, guys. This shouldn't be a thing right now. So this is the fly mode combo. Let's open it up and see what's inside. So much plastic. So much. Too much. Okay, the back looks very good. High quality. What's here? First, let's see what's down here. Oh, yeah. Propellers and manuals. I don't think you want to see these things. Yeah, nothing else. Yeah, let's continue. Okay, so this is a fly mode combo. It comes in a bag, and inside the drone will be with all the batteries and everything else. Okay, up here what we have, the ND filters, a charging pad, and some cables. Yeah, nothing too important. Okay. Big box, controller, and the drone, and the charging pad. Okay, the most important, the drone. Okay, feels nice. Not too heavy, not too light. It opens up very solid. The legs are very solid. comparison to my cell phone. Let's open it up once again. So down here we have the sensors, downward sensors, in the back the other sensors, and on the front no sideways. That's in the Mavic 2 Pro. Yeah, let's remove the stickers, the gimbal protection, and that's the 1/2 inch sensor down there with the gimbal. It has no battery, as always. We have to charge it. Let's put in some propellers. Yeah, and that's the Mavic Air 2, guys. It's looking very good. Feels very nice. Let's remove these stickers. It has lights on the legs, on the arms. Feels quite light. The bottom plate is metal as well. This is the battery. If we take it out just for a minute. Yep. Down here is the USB-C to transfer files. And in the other side we can see the micro SD. Pretty neat. Now let's see what's over here. The controller. This is the control, guys. The joysticks are stored down here, and they screw on very easily. Yeah, very nice. Feels almost like an Xbox controller. The back has a grip, rubberized grip. And so basically here we connect the cell phone, smartphone or iPhone. So I need, yeah. And that's about it, guys. That's how the controller would look with your cell phone. Quite solid. Excellent, guys. Let's see what's over here. Here we have the extra batteries, the other two, and the charging case and charging cable, of course. So that's basically the Mavic Air 2, guys, and what the Flymore Combo contains. Feels nice in the hands, the controller as well, quality. So guys, this was the Mavic Air 2, the unboxing. So this is basically the size, and as you can see, it's basically the same size as my hand, and it's not too big. And here this is the Samsung A30, which is basically the same size as a new iPhone 12, and it's not too big. Basically this would be the size of the Mavic Mini, so it's not a big of a difference, but it is considerable. And as well, this is a bit more heavy, twice as heavy as well. Once you open it, the wingspan and the propellers really add to the size. The Mini doesn't have such big propellers, and as we can see, once it opens up, it's quite big and it's quite nice, guys. And remember, it has the sensors on front, on the back, not in the sides but in the bottom. To have it in the sides, you would have to buy the Pro 2. And again, everything is made of plastic. It's quite similar to the plastic of my Xbox controller. It's basically the same thing, so it's high quality. It can withstand some beating, and with the exception of the bottom, which is metal, and the rings on the propellers, which are metal. So I'm just going to test this baby once the batteries are charged and I've downloaded the app. Meanwhile, the controller, again, quality, high quality. The rubberized back really adds to the quality. Then we have the shutter over here and the shutter button over here. I really like this part that allows you to incorporate any cell phone or any smartphone to it. It's not for tablets, obviously, but then you can always get the Pro controller. And the joysticks are very nice. I like that they're screw-ons and you can save them down here. Overall, the controller is very high quality, particularly if you compare it to the Mavic 1, which was basically crap and very unstable, so it's very nice. Also, I have to tell you guys that this is the fly mode combo, so it comes with a pouch, with some extra propellers, with 2 extra batteries and the charger. And as well, a really important thing is that it comes with the ND filters. It comes with a nice suitcase, and they're the NDs with the stops at 264, 64 and 16 to achieve a cinematic look without altering the frame rate in harsh light situations. So this is perfect for video. This is dedicated for video, obviously. So guys, tell me in the comments which drones you're looking for, or maybe which drones you already have. Maybe you have this one, maybe you have the Mavic 1, or the Mavic 2 Mini is a more viable option for you guys, or you're more pro and you have the budget to buy the Mavic 2 Pro. So guys, if you did like the video, can you please give it a like? It really makes a difference, and consider subscribing. Hit the notification bell to be notified when I upload the next video. I'm Tony Fuentes. Don't forget to smile, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers to all of you.